Okay, great. You've decided to work from home, but what kind of license do you need? All right, you woke up this morning, you've decided you are going to work from home. That's it. You're not going to get up, put your smelly uniform on. Hopefully, it's not smelly, you probably washed it, but you're not going to leave the house today. You're not going to go in traffic. You're not going to go in that freezing cold hospital again or that doctor's office where the secretary gives you that look when you walk in. You're going to work from home. Okay, great. Now, how do you do that? What kind of license do you need? Okay, so this is where working remotely gets a little tricky because, of course, you're a nurse. It seems like everything in nursing is legalities, documentation, red tape, everything, right? Every little thing. I could name a million things off the top of my head when I first would walk through the door of the emergency room that were kind of like, what? And didn't make sense. It's a whole, nursing is a whole world of lots of little rules, right? Lots of little laws, all of these little things. So, in order to work from home, you do have to get through that. So, you have to have, obviously, you have to have a nursing license. But when you're talking to someone over the phone, you have to have a license in the state of the person who you're talking to. So, what does that mean? That means if a mother who's in Alabama calls me to talk about her son who's in New York, I have to have a license in Alabama, right? So it's sort of like, wait, what? So a lot of telephone triage jobs handle colleges, and a lot of times the kids will call, but sometimes the parents call. And this is a whole nother thing, legally talking about somebody who's not in the room. But we'll do that in a different video. But you have to have a license in the state of the person that is calling you. Okay, so another big question is, do I have to be a registered nurse? Okay, because obviously there's LPNs who I'm sure would want to work remotely as well. Most of the big national companies, because of all the legal issues, only hire registered nurses. So you have to be a registered nurse. Um, I I don't know of any big companies that hire LPNs. I would say that the LPNs are um, muscling the weight of the nurses leaving who are going remotely, perhaps. I'm not sure. But local hospitals, doctors' offices, things like that. Um, when I first started doing this 15 years ago, it was like finding a needle in the haystack. So if you're an LPN and you want to work remotely, you can. I'm sure you can. You would just have to find something locally, or something to that effect. So it'd be more of an individual doctor or, um, not one of these big companies that hire, 30, 40 telephone triage nurses. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. What am I telling you? I'm telling you have to have a license in every single state to get started. Well, not to get started, but most triage companies are going to require you do that eventually. Something you can do immediately is there's something called the compact state. So if you go on your own, you look at your own nursing license, you go to your own nursing board, and you say you live in Florida. So you look up Florida. There's just your Florida state license. Most nurses who live and work in Florida are only going to pay for their state license. Why would you even think of anything else? But now there's something called the compact nursing license, and this gives you licenses in a lot of states. So meaning 20, 30 states, just by paying the extra fee. A lot of states now are crossing the legal borders of their state. So like if I have a license in Florida, I can practice in New Hampshire. I could drive to New Hampshire. And part of this they did for traveling nursing. A lot of it happened because of COVID, and just telephonic nursing. There's certain states that this does not work with, like California. California, you have to have a license in California. Hawaii, you have to have a license in Hawaii. Alaska, you have to have a license in Alaska. Illinois, Illinois. So And these licenses can get expensive. I would say if you just want to get started, get your compact nursing license if you can. If you only have a license in California or New York, you probably get a job right away because those states are in such high demand. Also, Hawaii. If you have a license in Hawaii, um, companies want you. Rhode Island. Rhode Island is a really hard state to have. It's not compact and it takes forever. So definitely you got to kind of go online, take your nursing license and be like, okay, what can I have? If you want to start today, you just put your state on there and say applying for in the process of, getting California. Put California nursing license on the front top and then go in the process of, because there's training, there's things like that. Once you get the job, the companies pay for your licenses. So you don't want to get them all before you get started because you're going to have to pay for them and they're really expensive. So get the job and then get the licenses, but make yourself aware of all the processes and steps you're going to have to go through. Okay, so I'm so excited for you. I'm so happy for you that you are going to be able to sit and work. You can't necessarily work outside like this picture unless you're doing like follow-up documentation or things like that. Or I don't know, maybe you work for a certain company. I mean, there are HIPAA restrictions and things, so you have to have an office and you have to have a door, so there's definitely HIPAA requirements. And I have another video on what's required of your home office. But ultimately, you have the freedom to step outside your door after you take your call and boom, So you can work from anywhere. If you get a global call, so say you get a call from a kid or a student, I'm sorry, who's in Paris, you can talk to them with any license. So that the international borders become a lot easier. You can apply for nursing telephonic jobs in other countries with an American nursing license. So you can do this. All you have to do is just get started. So take action. Do it today. Look online. Go to your state license thing. Say, all right, how can I do this? How many licenses can I get? Definitely, if you're going to do this for a big company, get California started. That's something they all want. California just has so many clients, and they've been doing telephonic things, I would say, before everybody else. It seems like when I first started doing this, California was a big client, was just a big need there. And originally there were not these legalities. I only had a license in the state I lived in, and I talked to everybody. And then the country was like, wait a minute, whoa, 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 these nurses are doing what? So just the whole before COVID, I would say the whole telephonic thing was a little wishy-washy, but now it's very regulated, and definitely need to get your ducks in a row. All right.